All right, so this exercise, like I said, very similar to an exam question. As always, I glance and I see this first and I go, awesome. Not only did they give me a regression line, which should have a little hat on this. I just want to put it in black. But they've given me what my x variable and my y variable are. Now I should probably go figure out what the units of those things are and what the heck they're talking about by reading this question stem. So we see here a study, it's investing relationship between quarterly sales in billions. Okay, so we're trying to predict how much they sell, and unemployment rate at a large retail store. So it looks like, especially because we have a negative slope, as the unemployment rate goes up, sales go down because less people are shopping at a retail store. Okay, this makes sense. I'm on board. And then we've got this stuff and we've got our R squared. Cool. Got it. So it tells us in one recent quarter, the unemployment rate was 6% and the sales were 2.5 billion. So we've got a rate, which is our X. It was already in percent up here, so there's no reason to write this as a decimal. This is all we need. And then sales, which is our Y, is 2.5. And again, the units were already billions, so no need to write this with a bunch of zeros. And then we see the first question just says calculate the residual. So we're looking for E. And if we remember correctly, this is a two-step problem. If we didn't, we would still have written this down and then been like, oh crap, I need Y hat, and it would have reminded us that we were doing the two-step question. So we've got the 2.5, and we just need to do step 1, which is Y hat is equal to, all we need to do is plug in our X, pull up my calculator, have it do all this crap. So much faster with a real calculator. All right, 2.946. Now, I want you to right now, oh God, notice this is a wrong answer. It is option D. It is so common that students stop because they see this as an answer choice. This gives you a pat on the back because I put the right answer to the wrong question. If I asked you for the predicted value, you did the perfect work. If I'm asking you for residual, keep going. In fact, I rarely make these questions multiple choice anymore because I was doing such a good job at distracting students with my wrong answers. So if we keep going, we know we're going to take this as our Y hat. If I subtract a bigger number from a smaller number, this is going to be negative. And oh, my only answer choice that's negative is C. D is doing Y hat minus Y, having them backwards. Or I've had a lot of students write this down and then still circle B. I don't understand what happens. A is for students who wrote just this piece right here, didn't know how to get Y hat, and just went, oh, let me subtract these two things. That's A. So those are sort of how my wrong answer choices look. So as you go through old exams, take the time to break down, what are these wrong answer choices? What is she trying to catch people with? Because I do the same thing every time. My exams are essentially a standardized test. And since I'm going to give you at least 3 old versions, you have the opportunity to figure out what it is I always test and how I test it. Because I'm not trying to make this class crazy. I'm just trying to get you to be able to do all of these things. So the next question here says, what is the value of the correlation coefficient? We know the correlation coefficient is our R. Now, there were a bunch of crazy-ass ways we could find R. There was a crazy formula on the first page of correlation coefficient. There was a crazy, whatever it was called, way to do it in the calculator that we did at the end of the correlation coefficient section. You do not want to do any of that stuff. You know on a test, the only thing we're going to be using is finding R squared and unsquaring it. So we're going to take the square root of this 0.883, right? Write it as a decimal. And then don't forget, we had a negative slope, so we need this to be a negative relationship. So if you take the square root of a decimal, it actually gets bigger. So we end up with E. And you can see all your wrong answer choices here. B is thinking all you had to do is convert that you got the correlation coefficient and coefficient of determination mixed up. C is squaring instead of square rooting. So is D, and then A is for getting that it's negative because it matches our slope. So this is exactly like a question I would put on a test. So if you nailed this, pat yourself on the back. You're going to nail it on all the sample problems on the old exams and nail it on the test too. If you didn't, that just means you need to focus on these and figure out what exactly to put on your note card to make sure you nail this question come exam time.